In the early 1940s, the skies of Europe and the Pacific were dominated by the roar of engines, the flash of gunfire, and the strategic bombing campaigns of World War II. Among the aircraft that shaped this war, one bomber stood out, the B-24 Liberator. Sleek, fast, and deadly, it was the backbone of the Allied bombing effort. But behind its power in the air was another story, one of steel, sweat, and industrial genius on the ground. The challenge was staggering. The United States had to equip its military with aircraft at a pace that had never been attempted before. Traditional manufacturing methods, with hand-built precision, could not meet the urgent demand. This is where one of America's greatest industrial minds stepped in, Henry Ford. Ford, the man who revolutionized the automobile with the moving assembly line, applied the same principles to the production of the B-24. At Ford's massive Willow Run factory in Michigan, a new kind of assembly line was born, one capable of producing an entire bomber every hour. It was unprecedented. It was audacious. It was the industrial miracle that would help win a global war. The factory itself was a marvel of engineering. It stretched over 3.5 million square feet, and thousands of workers, men and women, moved through its corridors with relentless efficiency. Jigs, conveyors, and standardized parts allowed individual workers to focus on precise tasks, while the plane slowly came together piece by piece. From engines to fuselage to wings, the B-24's assembly was broken down into hundreds of steps, each performed in perfect sequence. The speed of production astonished military planners. Before Willow Run, building a bomber could take months. At peak efficiency, Ford's assembly line could produce a B-24 Liberator every 63 minutes. This output was not just a number. It represented the lives it would save and the missions it would complete over enemy territory. Yet, the process was not without challenges. Workers faced grueling schedules, dangerous machinery, and the immense pressure of wartime deadlines. Parts had to arrive on time, precision had to be perfect, and coordination between different sections of the plant was critical. One misstep could halt the entire line. Still, through innovation and sheer determination, the factory delivered. The human story behind Willow Run was as remarkable as the technical achievement. Women, known as Rosie the Riveters, filled roles traditionally held by men, riveting, welding, and assembling crucial components. Teenagers, immigrants, and veterans all contributed to a workforce that embodied the industrial spirit of America. Their efforts transformed raw materials into machines of war, and in doing so, redefined the capabilities of mass production. The B-24 itself was a technological marvel. With a high aspect ratio wing, long-range capability, and heavy payload, it could strike targets deep in enemy territory. It was versatile, used for bombing, anti-submarine warfare, reconnaissance, and cargo transport. But without Ford's assembly line, the sheer number of B-24s required for these missions would have been impossible. Production numbers tell the story of this industrial triumph. Over 18,000 B-24s were produced in less than 4 years at Willow Run alone. Across all factories, more than 19,000 Liberators were built during World War II. The aircraft flew missions in every theater of the war, from Europe to the Pacific, proving its worth again and again. The speed of production also had strategic consequences. Every bomber added to the fleet strengthened the Allies' ability to strike at Axis industrial centers, supply lines, and military positions. Every hour saved in production translated to thousands of pounds of bombs reaching the enemy, changing the course of battles, campaigns, and ultimately the war itself. Despite the brilliance of the factory, wartime production was a constant battle against obstacles. Material shortages, labor disputes, and mechanical failures threatened output. Yet innovation, adaptation, and perseverance ensured that production targets were met, and the B-24 continued to dominate the skies. By the end of Part 1, the stage is set, a technological marvel in the form of the B-24, an industrial miracle in the form of Ford's assembly line, and a workforce determined to transform steel and aluminum into a decisive weapon of war. By 1943, the B-24 Liberator was no longer just a marvel of industrial engineering. It was a weapon of war reshaping the skies. From the European theater to the Pacific, these bombers carried payloads that could devastate enemy factories, supply lines, and fortifications. The speed and scale of production at Ford's Willow Run factory meant that the Allies could replace losses almost as quickly as they occurred, tipping the balance in countless battles. Missions flown by the B-24 were grueling and dangerous. Crews faced flak, enemy fighters, and treacherous weather. Yet they trusted the aircraft and, indirectly, the thousands of men and women who had labored tirelessly on the assembly line. Each bomber that took off represented not just a machine, but the combined effort of engineers, factory workers, and logistics teams thousands of miles from the front lines. The Pacific Theater showcased the Liberator's versatility. Its long range allowed it to strike Japanese positions across islands and remote airfields, supporting campaigns in New Guinea, the Philippines, and the Mariana Islands. In Europe, B-24s carried out precision bombing of German industrial centers, contributing to the crippling of the Nazi war machine. Every mission relied on the sheer numbers made possible by mass production. A single bomber could fly, but thousands could overwhelm defenses. The human element remained central. Pilots, navigators, bombardiers, and gunners faced unimaginable risks, yet their courage matched the scale of the factory's ambition. Mechanics and ground crews in theaters around the world kept the aircraft flying under harsh conditions, ensuring that Ford's assembly line miracle reached its full potential. Ford's assembly line also inspired innovations beyond production speed. Techniques developed at Willow Run influenced post-war aviation and manufacturing, showing the world that industrial engineering could achieve feats once thought impossible. Mass production became a symbol of American ingenuity, linking homefront effort directly to success on the battlefield. The legacy of the B-24 is not just measured in missions flown or tons of bombs dropped. It is a story of coordination between human ingenuity and industrial power. The aircraft became a symbol of how ordinary men and women, working in factories far from combat, could shape the outcome of global conflict. Yet the production miracle came at a cost. Workers endured long hours, repetitive and sometimes dangerous tasks, and the relentless pressure of wartime deadlines. Many sacrificed health and comfort to ensure that each aircraft rolled off the line on time. Their dedication reminds us that victory is built not only on courage in combat, but on perseverance, skill, and teamwork on the home front. As the war progressed, B-24s continued to prove their worth. From anti-submarine missions in the Atlantic to bombing runs deep in Germany and strategic strikes in the Pacific, the Liberator became indispensable. Allied planners understood that quantity and quality combined could defeat even the most entrenched enemy defenses. By the end of World War II, the numbers were staggering. Over 19,000 B-24 Liberators produced, thousands of missions flown, and countless lives impacted both in the air and on the ground. The aircraft and the assembly line behind it stand as a testament to human ingenuity, determination, and industrial might. The story of the B-24 Liberator and Ford's assembly line is a reminder that wars are fought on many fronts, not just in the skies or on battlefields, but in factories, offices, and workshops thousands of miles from combat. Every rivet, every engine, every wing panel contributed to the ultimate victory. The Ford assembly line miracle transformed aircraft manufacturing forever. It proved that innovation, mass production, and human dedication could achieve what was once considered impossible. The B-24 Liberator was more than a bomber. It was a symbol of a nation's industrial heart and the collective effort of thousands united in a common cause. Even today, the legacy endures. Museums, preserved aircraft, and historical accounts celebrate the engineering feats, the workers who built them, and the crews who flew them into the annals of history. The B-24 Liberator reminds us that greatness often lies in the unseen work, in the factories, and in the hands of those who dare to combine vision with action.